Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast. Today's guest is someone who proves that you don't have to step between the ropes to leave a lasting mark of professional wrestling. She is a voice, a presence, and a force of personality who has helped shape moments, careers, and memories for both fans and talents alike. From the bright lights of Vegas with future stars of wrestling, some of the most passionate fan experiences in independent wrestling, she has built a reputation not just as a valet, a manager, and announcer, but as someone who genuinely cares about the people around her and the industry she loves. But tonight isn't just about wrestling. Tonight is about the woman behind the persona, the sacrifice, the struggle, the victories no one sees, and the passion that keeps her going in an industry that can be as unforgiving as it is rewarding. She has become a central figure in events like Portomania, connecting fans, talent, and communities in ways that go far beyond entertainment. And through it all, she has remained authentic, resilient, and driven. This is going to be real, this is going to be emotional, and this is going to be a conversation you won't forget. Please welcome Heather Lynn. Heather, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. That was a wonderful intro. Thanks.
No problem. So, when did you decide that wrestling wasn't just something you wanted to be a fan of, that you wanted to actually get involved with?
Back from when I started watching it, and I was a little girl, and I saw what a lot of the managers and wrestlers were doing in the ring and outside the ring, and I was like, I totally want to do that. I can do that, and so I grew up watching it and just always loved it and would always watch it. And my brother got me into it, my older brother. And from then on, when I turned 17, I lived in Tampa Bay at the time. I went to Dean Malenko's school to try to get in there, but he's like, oh, no, wait till you're 18. But then when I was 18, I moved to Las Vegas. And then that's where I started over there. I checked out a couple schools in Vegas, didn't really care for much,
Right.
and ended up going to UPW in Huntington Beach and would drive there pretty much every weekend for that.
So, why a valet? What, instead of becoming an actual professional wrestler, why become a valet and a manager? What was it about that role that drew you to it?
I did a little wrestling, but I much prefer the role of antagonizing the crowd and getting them to pay attention to what's going on in the ring and being an asset to the wrestler that is in the ring at the time.
So, from what I understand, as far as antagonizing, do you prefer the heel role versus the
About
baby?
90% of the time, yes.
Oh, who's your influences growing up in professional
Uh,
wrestling?
Bobby Heenan was my number one. Sherry, Miss Elizabeth, any of those Luna. Um, a lot of people like that. As far as wrestlers go, Bret Hart was my number one. I loved Owen. Um, I was kind of like somebody who sometimes I like the baby faces, sometimes I like the heels, but most of the time it was the heels.
Right, right.
A big part I remember, big influence was like the Macho Man, Miss Elizabeth Sherry angle, the whole wedding
Yep.
and all that stuff. And I remember I still cried when Miss Elizabeth ran in the ring to help save, Macho Man, and
Mhm.
that's one of my favorite things of all time.
Who is Heather Lynn?
Well, usually I've got quite a few layers. Um, I'm I'm usually pretty good. I love my wrestling, and I've been in the business for a very long time. Outside of the business, I have a daughter that has grown up in the business with me. So she knows a lot of people. She's a lot of friends with a lot of, the wrestlers and stuff.
Right.
I'm a big animal rescue person. I try to trap a lot of cats out here and do like TNR, and get them fixed and released so we can try to stop the stray population. I have my own cats. I have a dog. Um, I spend a lot of time at the gym. I work. I'm a bartender on my normal job,
Yes.
so I deal with people every day and talk to them all the time. So it's kind of just something that's like an extension of what I normally do anyway.
Yeah, I bartended 30 plus years. That was my career. I
Yeah.
traveled all over the United States, a couple different countries bartending. Um, and I can tell you that people will look at you as a bartender, oh, go get a real job, or you are running away from life, or whatnot. They don't understand the amount of work that comes with bartending and how it builds your character as far as dealing with different types of people. Do you feel like bartending has helped you in professional wrestling because of that aspect, having to deal with all these different types of people that you have to serve on a daily basis?
I think wrestling actually helped me deal with bartending
Okay.
because I started in the restaurant business at 17 and then, worked my way up to server and then to bartender. And by the time I started bartending, I had already been in the wrestling business for a while. And it has helped me deal with a lot of guests. A lot of people get stupid when they're drunk. And it's helped me deal with a lot of people who can be rude, who can be jerks. And I think that I have learned to use what I know from the wrestling business and fans and people who chant things and been able to translate that into the bartending business. And a lot of times if I get snarky behind the bar sometimes with people, but they generally love that. Because they
Right.
don't do it in a rude way, but you can get snarky and a lot of people, especially where I work, it's a big convention base. So it's a lot of men. And if you get snarky with them, they seem to love that. So I think wrestling has helped me a lot more in the bar than vice versa.
Was there people in your life that doubted you, that you had to overcome, that even motivated you to dig 10 toes deep and really go for it?
Oh yeah, my stepfather hated wrestling. Said only it was for morons growing up. We weren't allowed to watch it in the house, and my brother and I would sneak it. So it was a constant battle with him. It was always nobody watches that. Only morons watch that kind of stuff. So to me, it was more of a process. Like, well, I'm not a moron, and I seem to have done pretty good in the business, and um, that's basically it. Because a lot of people, if they did doubt me and stuff, I just don't keep them around because
Right.
I don't need that kind of negativity in life.
Now, women in professional wrestling has been something happening for a very long time. I mean, way back from the days of Moolah and Mae Young to what we see now in professional wrestling with the women's division. But in our reality, wrestling for women, professional wrestling at this level is fairly young. It really is because unfortunately, it seems like after the era of Moolah and Mae Young, women professional wrestling were really sexualized. They weren't looked at these serious competitors. Who are the ones that paved the way so that people like yourself could get involved in professional wrestling and be taken just as seriously as the men are taken?
When I started, it was basically all eye candy. I would have to say people like Lita and Trish. They were starting to break out of the whole just being sexy thing, and they were
Mhm.
actually in the ring wrestling. You had what's her name, Taryn, and Gail Kim and TNA and stuff like that. So a lot of them were starting to break the mold. I didn't have much of the opportunity because they were just getting started around like doing that when I was starting in wrestling. So I was still in the phase of considered eye candy and being there just for aesthetics basically. So I didn't get the opportunity to put forward much physicalness. And I'm fine with that because I do like, managing. I do love announcing. So I wish though, if that had been already in place when I started, I certainly would have liked to have taken advantage of that opportunity to been a
Mhm.
little bit more physical and maybe get into the ring a lot more.
What did success look like when you first got into business to yourself versus what success is to you now?
Back then, as long as you were just on some kind of TV and some kind of platform that would people could see you on.
Mhm.
Social media wasn't, a thing really back then. So a lot of it was, or it was very new, but a lot of it was more, so you had to be on TV. So to be on any kind of thing when TNA started, or some of the smaller feds, like even when I was on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, we were on TV, and that to me was a good measure of success. Seeing a lot of the wrestlers on TV who I worked with and were able to make that next step also to me was a big thing of success. So I think a measure of success was just getting your name out there, getting people to remember you, making an impact, not being forgotten.
You said earlier that you mostly enjoy being that heel. What is it about being the heel that you like more than a babyface? Is it a comfort level?
I would say it's more so comfort. It's just like kind of play to my natural abilities, and I tend to kind of be mean when I need to be. Plus, I spend all day being nice to people at the bar, and sometimes when I fill in as a server, I have to be nice to my guests most of the time.
Right.
I have to, get what they want and do things for them. So it's kind of nice to be able to not have to say yes and
Mhm.
not have to be nice and smile all the time.
I hear you. Was there a lot of insecurities that you had that you felt like hindered you when you got into the business?
Yeah, I started when I was 19, so it was kind of scary being that young, and being thrown into a business with a lot of people who had a lot more knowledge and experience than I did, and trying to get noticed and trying to make my way without stepping on toes, without,
Mm.
making bad decisions like that. And then I had my daughter, and stepped away for a bit. And I think it was hard because of that. So when I came back after having her, it was hard to say, "Oh, can I get back into this role? Can I step back into the business and still be able to get shows and bookings?"
How did you overcome those insecurities, or do you still carry some with you?
I mean, occasionally I still always carry some every time I go to a locker room, or a show, and I see people, especially if I don't know them, I don't know what kind of person they are. So I don't know, is it a friendly? Is it going to
Mm.
be a, professional completely? I've been lucky enough to be around people who are usually pretty good in the locker rooms. So I still carry some insecurities as far as, am I in the way? Do I step on toes?
Right.
Am I taking someone's spot? But the best way to do it is just kind of smile and just keep doing it until I'm told otherwise.
As a mom, how do you balance your life with professional in the business in professional wrestling? It demands a lot of time. So how do you balance your time between the business and being a mom?
It was really hard, especially when she was younger. Her dad and I didn't stay together very long, but he's a wonderful dad. So he would have her just as much if I needed him to, for me to do shows and be able to travel. And then as she got a little older, I would just take her with me. And she would sit, in the audience, or somebody would keep an eye on her. And I remember the first time I took something in front of her. I forgot what it was, maybe a pile driver or something. Didn't tell her, and I think she was maybe 5 or so, and she freaked out because she sees her mom getting beat up in the ring, and doesn't understand it yet. And so she freaked out crying. So somebody went and grabbed her and brought her in the back. And I told her, I said, "Look, if something goes wrong, you'll know, because somebody will come grab you. And if somebody doesn't come grab you, then we're fine." And so she learned from then on, but she still brings it up to this day that how freaked out she was seeing me get hurt in the first time ever. And I didn't warn her ahead of time. So it was probably my fault for not doing that. But balancing all of that, it was work, and it wasn't easy. And her and I, we have a really good relationship, but there was a couple tense moments, especially as she got into her teen years, that, would kind of butt heads and things like that. So we have a wonderful relationship now. It's great. But it wasn't easy. It was more of just trying to put, plus I was in school full time and working full time. It was a lot. And I probably overextended myself quite a bit. And I wouldn't really change a whole lot because it was worth it to me.
How much of Heather, the human being, is the character that you are in professional wrestling?
I'd say it's pretty close, but a lot amplified. So it's a lot of my same characteristics, just amplified to a level that I normally don't show to a lot of people in real life.
Yeah. Now, did you feel like you had to change who you were for professional wrestling?
No, not so much, other than just learning to be quiet a little bit more and listen some more, and take direction.
Yeah. What is something that the fans would be shocked to know about you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm really short if they haven't met me in person. I'm only 5 foot tall. So I'm kind of a tiny little thing. But when people, if they haven't met me in person and they usually talk to me or they've seen what I do, they laugh because then I end up being this really tiny person. But I'm a lot meaner than I look. So
Talk to me. This is something I've always wondered. Creative or the book or whoever puts you with someone for you to be their manager. Um, if it's someone that you're not familiar with, talk to me about your process that you go through to get to know the person so you guys work well together.
hopefully it's I get a little bit of notice. So I'm able to look that person up and research and find things out that I need to know, the kind of character they are, what they do in the ring. And then figure out how I can um, be an asset for that. So figure out what I can do to make the crowd either love or hate them more, and try to figure out a way to do it without taking away from them as well. Because I want to be there and I want to get the attention when I want it, but I also don't want to take away from the match because that's my job is I don't take away from the match. I'm there to enhance it.
Right. Talk to me about wrestling school. Again, you're a manager, you're a valet. But from what I understand, when you go to wrestling school, there's no separation. Oh, there's a special manager or valet wrestling school. You go, you learn to take bumps, and you become a professional wrestler. Talk to me about that. Was there parts that you struggled, or did you find that it just very natural to you, and you got it easily?
Being in the ring and having a natural instinct as far as what to do and when was
Mhm.
always one of my biggest assets. I would say taking bumps, I'm not a massive fan of.
Right,
Um, I like to do it when it makes sense. I didn't take wrestling school several days a week because I lived in Las Vegas and I would drive to Huntington Beach. So it was maybe once a week. Um, and I think the way it worked is I learned what I needed to learn, and then the rest I kind of learned as I went along doing matches. It's kind of thrown in there a little bit, um, but it was a great thing because it taught me to think on my feet.
now you're also an announcer, correct?
Yes.
And you've announced some UFC, haven't you?
No, no UFC.
No, no UFC. I thought I'd see that. Well, talk to me. How did you get into being an announcer, or were you an announcer first and then got into being a
No,
valet?
announcing was an accident. When I moved to Florida from Las Vegas, I didn't really have a lot of work out here because I didn't know. So I was trying to find places to go. And I went to a Ring Warriors taping because Adam Pierce was on it. So I went to go say hello to him and a few other people. And I always have my gear in the car with me. That's just something that's out of habit. Even to
Right.
this day, I'll go to a show, have my ring and gear in the car. And I went to the show and they came up to me and they said, do you know how to do announcing? Because I think their announcer had gotten sick and couldn't do it. And I said, oh, yeah, absolutely, I can do it. I'd never done it before, but I've cut promos and
Right.
I've watched plenty of wrestling to kind of know the gist of it. So I said, of course I can do it. I have my gear in the car. They said, all right, go get ready. You're going to do these next few tapings. And I was very nervous. I think I did okay. I mean, for being my first time ever, and for being on something that was broadcast on TV as well. And then from then on, I had a few people I'd spoken to when I lived in Orlando for WWN for FIP, and it all started from there. And I ended up doing a few shows for FIP. Then it moved up. Then I ended up doing Shine, and then I moved to Evolve. And then from Evolve is where I did the majority of my work.
Right. What do you prefer? Do you prefer announcing, or do you prefer the management valet role?
I love managing and valeting because I can be involved in the match and I can get the crowd to react how I want them to. And I'm right there in the action. I do love announcing because I'm out there the whole show.
Mhm.
So I don't just go out there for 10, 15 minutes and then leave and then have to leave. Although there's a downside to that is that I'm out there the whole show and I can't really leave early if I wanted to.
Right.
But I do like it because I get to be out there and I get to see every single match up close and I get to pay attention. And it's quite fun to do that while I'm sitting there waiting to do the next match.
Do you have a goal? In other words, are you trying to get to what are the big promotions? Or because I've interviewed people that because they were parents, they were good right where they were at. They didn't want to go to that next level. Where do you stand?
I don't believe I think my age is a factor, and I've been that it wouldn't be easy to get picked up. I mean, if I did, great. But it's not. When I was younger, yes, that was my goal. And then I stepped away for a few years because it was just sometimes it's a very toxic environment.
Mhm.
And then when I came back now, I just do it because I love it. Because I love wrestling. I love watching it. I like watching some of the wrestlers and evaluating talent too and saying, oh my God, that guy's really good. He's probably going to get picked up. That
Yeah.
girl's amazing. I hope somebody takes notice of her.
You said that it's a toxic environment. Can you elaborate on that? People
It's
experience?
always been a very toxic environment, especially for women.
Mhm.
A lot of the times when I started, women didn't have separate locker rooms and stuff. So we had a shared locker room and did a bunch of things. And um, sometimes the guys can be a little bit much. And you set boundaries. And most of the time, when you set boundaries, it's fine. And most of them honor it. Some that don't, then you speak to them on a different level. Sometimes the promoters can be sketchy. Some of the promoters weren't always the greatest as far as either pay or in other ways. And a
Mhm.
lot of it takes a mental toll. So I stepped away for a couple years because of that. But then I always tell people that wrestling is basically my longest toxic relationship because I try to step away, then it just brings you right back no matter what.
Right. Now, I was also going to ask you, what has been your lowest moment emotionally in professional wrestling? Would that go into you having to step away, or has there been other instances where you felt like you were really down in the business?
It was right before I stepped away because I felt like I was on the top and I was doing major shows and I was featured all the time doing stuff and working for a big company like WWN and Evolve. And then things had kind of gotten a little bit crazy. And I had some issues I had dealt with in personal life as well. Plus, like I said, working full time, being a mom full time, single mom full time, and going to school full time, taking 2 degrees. So I think it all just kind of melded together and came down at once. And I think it was for the best that I had stepped away for a bit.
What was there a particular person or a specific incident that made you decide to get back into the industry?
I would go to shows occasionally and see people, say hi to friends, things like that. I still love it. I would never leave it fully. Um, and then I had gotten asked to do a one-off show, and I think it was right after COVID had started.
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh, sure, I'll do the show." And then I said, "Oh my, I love this." But then COVID hit, so nobody was really doing anything. And then in 24 maybe, um, I was going to Arizona and I was speaking to my friend Greg, and he says, "Oh, why don't you come by the show and check it out?" And I ended up doing some interviewing at the show, and it was a really great show. It's for IZW in Arizona, and I think they're a really great fed. And I got back into it and I said, oh, well, I guess this is how it works. And then a few months later, I had Ed in Laredo reach out to me about Podermania in Vegas, an all women's show. And I said, oh, absolutely. Of course, I was going to be out there anyway to go say hi to people and check out Mania. So I ended up doing their show and I ended up picking up another show while I was there. And so I don't do it full time anymore, but I'm always open for bookings as long as I can work with it with my schedule.
Right. What do you think it takes to be a good manager today, especially in a world that you don't see a lot of managers anymore in professional wrestling? Not like you used to. You talked about your Bobby the Brain Heenans. There's also your Jimmy Harts. What do you think what does it take to be a good manager today?
I think ring awareness is a very big thing. Um, to be able to know what to do and when to do it, even when you don't have it set what you're supposed to do during the match, to kind of keep an eye out. Okay, well, he's alone over here and they're not paying attention. Come over and slap him real quick or choke him. Come over here and distract the refs so that your guy can do something. Um, it's a ring awareness thing. It's not just okay, you're going to do this at this point, you stand here and as soon as this happens this is what you do. A lot of it is based on instinct and paying attention. I do think mic skills are pretty important. um, Being able to hype up your wrestler, um, put them in the area where you want them to be as far as the crowd goes. being able to get the crowd going, whether you're a face or a heel, the way that you want them to react. Do you want them cheering you, or do you want them booing you? Do you want them, you don't want them complacent. You don't want them just sitting there not saying anything. If it's quiet, do something, get the crowd going, make noise.
Right. Do you think someone like a Bobby the Brain Heenan, if you were able to bring him back, do you think his style would make it in today's professional wrestling? Because I mean, professional wrestling's changed a lot. Do you think someone like him would be able to make it in today's professional wrestling, or do you think no, it's just changed so much that he would have to reinvent himself?
Oh, I think if Heyman can do it, Bobby would certainly be able to do it. Bobby was really good at his wisecracks and saying things off the cuff and being absolutely amazing at getting his wrestlers over, and usually hated, as well as him. And
Right.
I think Heyman has a lot of those qualities now, and it works. And obviously, everybody loves Paul Heyman. So I think it would be Bobby would still be on top.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself as a manager? Do you find that you are more of a strategist, a storyteller, emotional support person for the talent that you manage?
Probably more of a storyteller. Let's get the story from point A to point B, just to be there and enhance the match and get people to pay attention.
What is your proudest moment in professional wrestling?
I'd say one of them would have to be the Seven Levels of Hell with Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana. Being a part of some of those matches was absolutely amazing. To be able to go out there and know that it was basically a part of history
Right.
is to me one of the best things I could have done.
Have you kept up your relationship with Adam Pierce and Colt Cabana?
Cabana I haven't seen in a couple years, but yeah, Pierce I speak to quite a bit. I just spoke to him last week, so
Yeah.
he's doing great. I haven't seen him. I see him for a few months or so, I'd say. I haven't seen him since probably I think there might have been a Raw or something. I spoke to him for a bit, but I do speak to him online all the time.
Yeah. Have you ever had to fight to be taken seriously in your role?
Not so much fight, but I did have to make sure that I was noticed,
Mhm.
especially at the beginning, and take whatever was given to me and then kind of try to turn it so that I was actually paid attention to.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you think fans underestimate about that role of being a professional manager in professional wrestling?
A lot of them think it's just basically there to be kind of a sidekick, to be comedy relief. And they don't realize that a lot of the times they are making sure that what needs to be said in the ring is said and done.
Talk to me about if I mispronounce it, I apologize. Is it Podermania?
Poder Mania.
Podermania. Talk to me about that. For those who may not know what it is, explain it to them.
It is
Yeah.
all women's wrestling organization. We did the show last year in Vegas. We were one of the only shows at that arena to sell out. This year we're doing it in this bit bigger arena. We're opening up the Collective this year, and it's a pretty big deal. I mean, we're the first show they're going to see, and it's 10 matches, all women and all incredible wrestlers from all around the world, not even just the country, but the world, who come in and do matches, and the tickets are reasonably priced. So you'll get to see a lot of talent that you might not be able to see unless you were to go to that part of the world or to different companies. To see it, they're all in one company and they're all together, and the matches are incredible. You have an all-female cast. You have myself, you have Val, Emily May, and Veda Scott, and that's your broadcasting commentary team as well.
Who is someone that you would love to be involved with, as either valet or a manager in professional wrestling before you decide that you're retiring from the business?
um, oh, there's so many out there. Drew McIntyre would probably be a good option. I'd say hmm, Nick Nemeth. Nemeth would be a good one. Some of the wrestlers who are just so incredible, they don't really need managers, but I think it would be fun to
Right.
go out there and do that and kind of draw attention to
Mm,
things there, or be able to interfere without getting noticed.
right. Who has been your biggest support system outside of wrestling?
Oh, my family, my daughter, for sure. My daughter is my number one support system. She's always there to lend a good word, or go over things with me. She will watch my stuff and let me know. So I'm very lucky for that.
The majority of professional wrestlers that I've spoken to, when it came to their kids, and when I asked the question, is this something that you want your kid to get involved with? The answer has been more times than not, no.
Yeah.
If your daughter came to you and said, Mom, I want to follow in your footsteps, I want to get involved in professional wrestling, what would be your first instinct?
I probably I wouldn't be upset. I mean, she's a grown woman, she makes her own decisions. But if she did, I would tell her that if you're going to do it, then you're gonna have to do it the right way. And I would make sure I found her the proper places to go to get the training and to start. She had talked about wanting to be a referee before, which I think would be a great option because then you can travel all over the world with everybody and not take really any bumps.
Right.
But she's a hairstylist and she does very, very well at it. And I don't want her to stop doing that because she does my hair too. So it's great. But if she did come to me, I would support her. Um, as long as she knew where and who to see and went the right way and not went to some skeezy place.
Yeah. What is this? What are some of the sacrifices that yourself and really other people in the business have to make that fans really have no idea about?
Missing important things with your family, missing things that you want to do. I mean, concerts. I love going to concerts. I've had to miss concerts before. Taking days off work sometimes for less of a payday, but because it's what I love to do. Um, Things like that, just sacrificing a lot of time, a lot of energy, especially now with social media and having to keep up appearances and things like that online. You sacrifice a lot of time and energy doing that, and it's exhausting. So a lot of people don't understand that maybe you don't have the time to just sit and relax sometimes. So like when I have my days off work, sometimes I don't do anything. I'll just do stuff around the house and I'll stay home and watch TV, and I'll just sit down and sit with my animals and relax, or I go to the gym with my daughter because that's kind of our thing that we like to do several days a week. So
Everybody has fears. I don't care if you're Brock Lesnar, myself, you, everyone has fears. When you're alone with your thoughts, what are some of the fears that creeps in your mind regarding professional wrestling? Maybe not so much now since you're not doing it full time, but back when you were doing it full time, I mean, what was one of those fears that would creep into your mind that you'd have to kind of shake off?
no one knowing who I am or what I did is a big fear. Being forgotten. Um, and sometimes I still feel like that, or I felt like maybe people don't know. And then I'll get surprised once in a while, and somebody will bring something up or say something to me, um, and it'll make me feel really, really special because then I realized, okay, I didn't make a huge impact in this business, but I have made somewhat of an impact on people.
Right.
Um, and it's really nice to have people who have been there since the beginning, who have seen me since UPW days, and say, "Oh, I remember you back then." And to think, wow, they went back and remembered me from all those years ago, to this day, and they still follow and they're still fans. And that to me is something incredible that I would never want to change.
Let's go way back to your wrestling beginnings. Is there things that still crosses your mind today that you're like, ah, I wish I could go back and change that?
I probably would have done more in ring stuff
Mm,
back then. I would have taken a lot more pictures too. I took some pictures, but I lost a lot. It wasn't all digital back then. So
right.
I do still have some physical pictures, but I wish I had more because I have a lot in my head. But it'd be nice to sit. Sometimes I still go back and look at pictures I do have. I would have talked to more people. I think I would have put myself out there a little bit more and taken more opportunities and try to do more work.
Over the years, unfortunately, we've lost a lot of great people in the business. Has there been someone that you've lost that's affected you personally that was in the business that just showing up for work every day in the business was extremely painful because that person wasn't there anymore?
Oh, there was quite a few, but I lost my friend Johnny, and he was a ring announcer in California that I worked with, and he was a really great friend of mine. And losing him suddenly was not good. Um, and I remember having to do shows after that, and it was heartbreaking. Um, Sir Oliver Humperdinck was a friend of mine,
Mm,
and um, I remember we had lost contact for a bit, and then we got back in touch, and I was supposed to see him, and I could not see him when I was supposed to, and he passed away, I think, the month after that, and I always regret not being able to see him that last time. So there's a bunch of different ones. Even personally, I had met Eddie Guerrero and Bobby Heenan, but I wasn't,
mm,
on a personal level with them like that. But they did
right.
have such an impact on my career, so losing those two was really heartbreaking as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I agree with you. Losing Eddie and Bobby was something that I think, especially people my age of 53 years old, grew up watching. Bobby Rennie Keening, that hit really, really hard. He was such a solid figure in professional wrestling. So yeah, I get it to a degree. What are some of the emotional wounds that you think that you've suffered that has shaped Heather Lynn to become the woman you are today?
I would say losing some people, um, not getting as many of the bookings now as I used to kind of hurts sometimes, but I understand why.
Right.
There's a lot. It's a lot of competition out there. It's a big company. I haven't put myself out there as much as other people have. Um, Dealing with a lot of stuff in my personal life as well, growing up, kind of shaped a lot of who I am, and I think why I was able to put up with a lot of stuff in this business.
I don't care who you are, how professional you are. We are all human beings. And there's times that we receive criticism that just hurts. We don't want to hear it. Even if it's true, we just don't want to hear it because, maybe having a bad day, wrong time. But the bottom line is it hits you. What criticism has hurt you the most?
Um, I kind of try to let it roll off my back and not pay much attention. I'm probably the hardest critic on myself than anything. I try not to read anything that's online. And there isn't too much that I read. I remember when they did the whole Me Too type thing. Um, I had spoken out about stuff like that a couple years beforehand. And I remember when I had spoken out, people said, "Oh, because somebody hugged her, it was sexual harassment."
Mhm.
And when it was a much deeper thing than that, but that's what they took out of it. And then 3 years later, I kind of felt vindicated when the whole situation came out and they said, "Look, this is what she was trying to tell you 3 years ago."
Right,
So to me, it was hurtful, and that was something that I didn't appreciate because it was criticizing me for saying that a simple hug was sexual harassment when it was way more than that. And I
right,
had explained it at the time, but because of that criticism, I actually didn't go any deeper onto that whole issue. And I had been asked, "Oh, do you want to speak out about it? Do you want to talk to anybody?" No, I just walked away. I just said I'd rather not, because if I'm going to get that kind of criticism, I don't want to deal with that because it just makes me upset.
do you think that professional wrestling still has a long journey to get to before the women athletes with the company are treated like they should be, or do you think no, we're there now?
I think they're pretty close. I think that they're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. They are main eventing WrestleMania. They are the face of the company now a lot of the times. And I think a lot of it mainstream too, not just in
Right.
wrestling, but a lot of it is mainstream. So I think they're pretty close. I still think they maybe don't have full equal treatment, but that's what they're fighting for, as far as especially pay. So I think they're pretty close, but there is always still work to do, and it's probably never going to stop.
Right, right. When your career is all said and done, what do you want people to say about you?
That I brought smiles to their faces, that I may have um, been something that they saw and smiled and liked and said, "Wow, she was great," or "Oh man, she was such a heel. She was terrible. We hated her and we loved yelling at her." Which the more you hate me, even better. But that's that they paid attention, that I got them to notice me.
What what impact do you hope your career has had on other women?
I just hope that being a single mom and working as hard as I did can show other women that it's a possibility to do that, and to go even farther than I did, and that you're able to balance being a mom and being in the ring as well.
Uh, Obviously, getting to the level that you are at in professional wrestling, that is a dream goal within itself. What other dreams do you have that you haven't really accomplished yet that you're wanting to accomplish? And not just in
Um,
professional wrestling, in general, in life.
I'm writing a children's book, and
Wow.
I don't want to talk about it too much because it's
Sure.
still something I work with, but it does have to do with wrestling. Like, there is wrestling involved in it, and there's also animals involved in it, because I kind of wanted to merge the two loves of my life together. So I'm in the process of writing that. I do need to find an illustrator still, because that's where I'm having the issue. The writing
Right.
part's fine. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, so I'm not going to be the one who draws a damn thing. But I'm working on that, and I think once I get it all said and done, it could be something really big. It could make an impact on a lot of lives, and not just for kids, but for adults too, because it's something that I think parents would be proud to read to their kids, and I think it's something that would help the kids a lot as far as growing up and finding their way in life.
When it comes out, I would love to be one of the podcasts you come on to talk about it. I really would.
Oh, I
Um,
absolutely would.
what do you want people to understand about you that they've never heard before?
I'm just a normal person for the most part. I'm kind of a nerd. I love my horror movies. I love my um trivia stuff. I I like my animals. I'm kind of just a big homebody nerd. I watch my certain TV shows, and I like to relax. That I'm normal for the most part. I'm kind of geeky. I love my comics. I have an entire storage unit full of comics with my brother, that a lot of people don't know, that a lot of collector editions and things like that in there. And there's comics in there we don't even know what we have anymore because it's so big. Um, and I mean, I talk about a lot of things. So if somebody brings up something with me, I'll talk about it all day long. That's fine.
A lot of wrestling fans who become professional wrestlers because they worked in the business and it's their life now, they don't really keep up with a lot of the product these days. Do you keep up with the product?
Oh, for the most part, yeah. I watch. I'm blessed enough to have a lot of friends on WWE, so I do watch a lot of it for them.
Mm.
And I same with TNA. So, and I've actually TNA has gotten so much better over the past 2 years or so. So I've been watching a lot of TNA. I watch AEW for some of my friends. I haven't been keeping up with that one as much as the other two.
Right, right. Uh, excited about WrestleMania this year?
Yeah,
Being
I mean, I'm excited. I'll be out there for a whole week, or almost a whole week, because I have to be there early for the Wednesday show. Then I have a show on Friday, and I'm doing some WrestleCon stuff, so that'll be fun. Then my daughter, her best friend, and my cousin meet me out there. We kind of have a whole girls' week where in between the shows and stuff, we have fun, and we're in Vegas and partying and enjoying ourselves, getting away from real life for a little bit.
right.
I'm excited because I get to see all of my friends in one spot. That's my
Right.
main reason for going to WrestleMania, even before I got booked on any shows, is because I get all of the people I've known over the years that are in different parts of the country, in one area. And so it's really nice to be able to catch up with a lot of them that maybe I don't see every once in a while. Maybe I see every year or every 5 years, but it's like no time lost when I do see them.
If this interview was the last time you ever spoke publicly about yourself and your career, what would you want your final words to be?
She did what she could and she loved it.
That's awesome.
That's all I can really say. I did what I could.
Right, right. Heather, thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're a really busy person. It's taken a few months to our time, but it was absolutely worth it. You're absolutely phenomenal. Is there anything that you want to promote?
Check out Powder Armenia. We'll be Wednesday at 3 p.m. in Las Vegas, opening up the collective. It's going to be an amazing show. We have 10 matches, and the card is incredible. If you want to check out any of my socials on X, Twitter, and Instagram, I'm under Heather Lynn 1024 on all of them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask, because I usually respond pretty quick to my messages. I just started selling a couple 8x10s because I'm going to have them with me anyway. So if you're interested, just let me know. Or if you just want to know anything or where you can see some of my stuff, just send me a message and I should be able to respond back as soon as I can.
Awesome. Again, thank you so very much. Guys, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We will be back on Tuesday night to do a recap of Monday Night Raw. Did we love it? Did we like it? Join in to find out. I'll be with my host, the legendary WCW veteran Robbie Ido, also author of Looking Up at the Lights, and as well as WWE and WCW veteran Bob Cook, who, by the way, also went to the school for Dean Malenko, who you originally wanted to go to.
Yeah.
He's going to be on as well. And again, remember, ask questions. You don't need a super chat here in order to be part of the show. Until then, you guys have a great weekend. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it.
Thank you.